risks, even though the risks are far less.
You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
For today's Radical Rant, I wanted to take a look at the performance of Kevin Sabet at the Ohio State House yesterday. I had mentioned this on a previous week's newscast that he would be there, and I believe somebody from our audience may have even gotten some audio or video of it. We will check back on that. But I got a report from, let's see which website this was. Well, I've written it up on my blog at radicalruss.com. You can get the original links back. But, Kevin Sabet, we call him the architect of the kinder, gentler drug war, the quarterback of what I call the Goldilocks solution, the just right third way to continue punishing marijuana smokers. And he was speaking on behalf of his Project SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana. And he explained, let me get this quote for you. He explained that advocates for medical marijuana legalization are, quote, putting on white coats and pretending to have compassion for the sick and dying. Yeah. Yes. It's awful. We're pretending to have compassion for the sick and dying. Sabet continued to explain that it was wrong to use, quote, smoked marijuana under the pretense of medicine, end quote, and that existing FDA-approved drugs that contain one active cannabinoid from marijuana, Marinol, should be used instead. Sabet claims that only 5% of patients in medical marijuana states are seeking it for, quote, severe medical problems, end quote, but seem to indicate that even those 5% should cease using medical cannabis and wait instead for an FDA-approved version of the plant that is already providing them relief. Sabet's claims fly in the face of state medical marijuana registry program statistics, like, for example, Oregon, where over 1/3 of patients using medical marijuana are using it for spasticity, like multiple sclerosis, seizures, like epilepsy, HIV/AIDS, and cancer. It's like 34%. Records from Colorado indicate that over 1/5 of patients are using medical marijuana for those same severe medical problems. So anywhere from 20 to 34% of patients are using it for what apparently you consider to be severe medical problems. This is almost a tacit admission that there are people using medical marijuana for severe medical problems, and you, Kevin Sabet, would rather that they stop, that they found something that works for them, and you'd rather that they stop because the plant doesn't fit your little paradigm of having gone through the FDA and having its molecules analyzed and put into very specific doses into pills and sprays and inhalers. Because it doesn't match that paradigm, these people should suffer. Brave Michaela should, be nauseous and not be able to eat from a chemotherapy treatment. Alex Eccles should continue to batter himself bloody. My wife should have to suffer migraines and go to the emergency room. If it's working, it's medicine. And this is the strange thing about medical marijuana that is so threatening to so many of these people in the medical and pharmaceutical industries is not that it's the wacky weed or that it leads to heroin or whatever it might be, or their big concerns, smoking. We'll get to that in a second. Has nothing to do with that. It's that it shatters their paradigm. It's that it flies in the face of pharmaceutically controlled doctors in lab coats, patents and barcodes and all what have you, and massive markups and profits too. I've often likened it to the Protestant Reformation in that a similar thing here. The Catholic Church had ruled with this idea that the only way to salvation to God was through a priest class. You had to go talk to the priest. They still exist today in their religion. Whereas the Protestant Reformation, big, massive change in paradigm was that mankind could seek salvation directly through Jesus. Now, I know this is not a religious discussion, but the schism that exists today between Protestant and Catholic is a direct result of that paradigm-shattering idea that you didn't have to go to some intermediary to get your salvation. You could get it yourself. And that's the same level of paradigm shattering we have here with medical marijuana. We don't have to go to the pharmacy, to the doctors in the white coats to dispense to us our magical pill for our salvation. We can get it ourselves through what has been provided to us through however you determine or whatever you think a creator is. Nature, evolution, God, flying spaghetti monster, I don't care. But it's the same kind of idea, and that's what's so threatening to them, is it shatters this paradigm, this whole class of people that are so in need. And again, I got nothing against doctors and modern medicine and surgical techniques and pharmaceutical miracles. They're fantastic. They save a lot of lives. But they're not the only options out there, and the people like Kevin Sabet want to keep them the only options. They want to keep this pharmaceutical FDA paradigm, this same FDA that approved Vioxx as safe for human use, that approved Fen-Phen as safe for human use. And as a matter of fact, right now on the FDA drug recall sheet, there are 5 different recalls of drugs already for 2013 that had been approved as safe by the FDA. Looking back through 2012, it's 4 screens worth of recalls. So why should we be concerned about this plant that has been used for 5,000 years, has no possible way of dealing a fatal overdose, and has far less side effects than half of the drugs I hear advertised on my evening television for things like waking up in the middle of the night? Oh, do you wake up in the middle of the night? Take this pill. Might lead to aggression and fatal episodes. I love that one. Fatal episodes. As if that could be plural. Anyway, let me get back to a couple of these other doctors that are just stuck in this paradigm. This was from the Gainesville Sun, I believe is the newspaper. I could be wrong on that. Gainesville, Florida. University of Florida expert Dr. Gary Reisfeld argues that medical marijuana really isn't medicine. Now, University of Florida, that's where Kevin Sabet is a professor as well. So these guys probably talk in the lunchroom, I suppose. Dr. Gary Reisfeld, the chief of pain medicine, something for which we have more documentation of marijuana's effectiveness than almost any other condition, mind you. And the University of Florida's Department of Psychiatry has weighed in on the debate with an article on the latest issue in the New England Journal of Medicine in which he argues that marijuana should not be used in medical practice. Quote, "It's not really the way physicians think. It's not medical and it's not medicine." End quote. How much more confirmation do we need that it has to do with how physicians think, has to do with their paradigm? Reisfeld's article was based on a case study of a female patient with advanced breast cancer. He says, quote, "Many people would say, have compassion, let her smoke," Reisfeld said. "The bigger question is, as a society, what do we think about the use of smoked marijuana?" What do we think about it? What's the reaction? What's the analysis? What's the cultural impact of it? Not whether it allows her to eat, not whether it stops pain, not whether with our own damn eyes we can see that it's having a medical effect. It's what we think about it. Could this be more clear as to why we are locked in this battle over medical marijuana? This Reisfeld continues by saying, quote, "We don't really have any examples of smoked medicine. If we have patients with pain, we don't recommend that they go out and smoke opium," end quote. Okay, let me get to this smoke thing. Number one, if we were in a emergency battlefield situation and happened to come upon some poppy plants and we were in some traumatic pain and we could score some of those plants with a razor and get some sap out of it and use that to treat the pain, we would. We certainly would. Plants can be medical. The reason we don't ask anyone to smoke opium or anything like that is we have pretty much, synthesized the opioid plants to a great deal, and they're pretty accessible. They're actually legally prescribable. That's part of the reason. But the other thing I want to get up is, good God, why do you people always get so stuck on the smoking? What is this, 1994? Have you not heard of a vaporizer? Have you not seen a marijuana brownie? Does the concept of tinctures just escape you? There are so many preparations now and so much advanced technology now being created. My wife now has this cute little cloud vape pen that uses concentrated cannabis oils in a little handheld rechargeable vaporizer. No smoke at all. Vapor. And as far as medicines being smoked, well, no, we don't burn a lot of medicines, but we inhale a lot of medicines. Ask any asthmatic with one of those, albuterol inhalers, right? We have all sorts of inhaled medicines out there. Inhaling medicines for these asthmatics, one of the reasons why they use it is because of its self-titrating ability and instant activity. They don't have to, die while they're choking and can't breathe. They can get an actual instant relief from it, same as we get from even smoked marijuana. But they just cannot reconcile the idea that a medicine could be in a plant and that it could be burned or smoked or inhaled. And finally, let me conclude with a Dr. Spencer, who I ended up doing some time tweeting back and forth with, little Twitter war that I get into from time to time. You can follow me on Radical Russ, at Radical Russ, if you're into those kind of things. But this Dr. Spencer, is an acolyte here of Kevin Sabet, following Kevin Sabet quite a bit. And she just had to say, let me see if I can find the original quote here. Here it is. In her tweet, there is no medical cannabis plant grown in a backyard. Medically approved, goes through FDA approval, #Sativex. Hey, I'm all for, develop Sativex, great. Go ahead. More options, the better. But why can't there be a medical plant? Why can't a plant have a medical benefit? Medical isn't that it went to school and graduated from pharmaceutical college. Medical is that it has an effect that heals us. That is medical. If I go out into the woods and I've got myself a terrible sunburn and I happen upon an aloe vera plant and I break a frond off and squeeze some of that juice and rub it on my sunburn and I feel better and the sunburn feels better and it alleviates the pain, is that not medical? If there's so many plants out there that can be used for medical benefit. The Chinese knew it. The Native Americans use it. Every culture has had medicinal plants. This idea of pharmaceuticalized, cut and dried, precise dose medicine is a relatively new invention in human history. And I'm, again, not decrying the use of modern medicine, but these two things can coexist. And, if anything, marijuana should be the medicine of first resort, given its low side effects and given so many things that it helps to treat. That's all the time we got for Hour 1. Join us on Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio. We'll take your calls at 971-533-7111. We'll have more video from High Times Medical Cannabis Cup and maybe some surprises. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you